She looked me in the eye and said, "If I wanted your husband, I could have him." So I stayed quiet, collected proof, and sent it all to her husband. Now she's divorced, broke, and begging me to talk. I am 30, and I have been married for a little more than 3 years. My husband and I do not have a fancy life. We spend quiet weekends at home, take small trips once in a while, and enjoy eating takeout while watching movies on the couch. It is a calm and loving life, and it feels safe. I never thought I would have something this steady and comforting, but here we are. I also had a close friend named Emily, who is 31. We met in college and stayed close over the years. We went through breakups, new relationships, and weddings together. She was even one of my bridesmaids. I trusted her deeply, like family. For years, nothing ever happened to make me question that trust, until a few months ago. It started slowly. Emily began making small comments about my husband that felt a little strange. She would say things like, "He looks so fit lately," or "He has such a calm energy, doesn't he?" At first, I did not think much about it. I believed she was just being nice. But then her behavior started to change. She began visiting more often, usually at times she knew I was not home. She would sometimes text me afterwards saying, "I just stopped by to say hi. Hope that's okay." When we were together, she would sit closer to my husband, laugh louder at his jokes, and touch his arm during conversations. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking. I did not want to imagine bad things about my best friend. But then she started dressing differently when she knew she would be around him. Tighter clothes, shorter skirts. It was not too obvious, but it was enough for me to notice. One day, I casually said, "You've been around a lot lately." She just laughed and said, "What? Can't a girl miss her best friend?" Still, I felt something was not right. I began changing my own schedule to see what was happening when I wasn't around. One day, I came home earlier than planned without telling either of them. As soon as I walked in, I heard Emily's voice coming from the kitchen. She was laughing too loudly. When I stepped in, she was standing very close to my husband. As soon as she saw me, she stepped back quickly, like she knew she was doing something wrong. My husband looked uncomfortable, like he was caught in a situation he did not want to be in. I did not confront Emily right then. That night, my husband told me everything. He said that Emily had been making moves on him for weeks. First, it was subtle, but then she became more direct. She even told him that she felt a connection with him and asked if he had ever been curious about being with someone else. He said he turned her down every time. He did not tell me earlier because he did not want to hurt me or destroy my friendship with her unless he was sure. I felt relieved that my husband had been honest, but I was also hurt and disgusted. Emily was not just crossing lines, she was destroying them. My husband and I decided not to confront her right away. Instead, we would collect proof. From that day, I could no longer see Emily as the friend I once loved like a sister. I started acting normal on purpose, replying to her messages and meeting her for coffee, just so she would not suspect anything. We saved every message she sent. She was not very careful with her words. She would text things like, "Bet your wife doesn't cook like this," or, "If you ever want to talk to someone who understands you." Reading those words made me sick, but I knew we needed them. My husband never encouraged her, but he did not completely cut off the conversation either. This made her feel safe enough to keep talking, which gave us more evidence. Our goal was not revenge. It was to show the truth to the one person who deserved to know the most, her husband, Jake. Emily and Jake had been married for almost 5 years. My husband and Jake were friendly, but not close. I always thought their marriage was strong, but now I was not so sure. About 2 weeks after we started gathering proof, Emily sent my husband a voice note late at night. I listened to it with him. In the recording, she said she had feelings for him and added, "If you weren't taken, I think we'd be perfect together." That was the last straw. We did not reply. Instead, we collected the screenshots and the voice note and sent them to Jake. I wrote a short message saying that he did not have to respond if he did not want to, but I hoped he would see the truth. 2 days passed with no response from him. Emily still had no idea we had told him. She even invited me to lunch, like nothing was wrong. I said no. On the third day, Jake finally replied. His message was short. Thank you. I had no idea. I'll take it from here. That evening, I heard from friends that Jake had confronted Emily. It was explosive. She first denied everything, but when he played the voice note and showed her the messages, she could not deny it any longer. She cried, but Jake stayed calm. He simply told her he was done. Within days, Jake moved out. It was not a temporary break, it was the end. He filed for divorce soon after. News spread quickly. People began talking about how Emily had always liked flirting with other men at parties, how she enjoyed the attention. Before, people laughed it off as just Emily, but now they saw her differently. Her social circle started falling apart. Friends stopped inviting her to gatherings. Some even confronted her. She was no longer just the woman who cheated. She was the woman who tried to seduce her best friend's husband and got caught. She reached out to me once. She wrote, I never meant for things to go that far. I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't want to hurt you. There was no real apology, just an attempt to save face. I did not reply. Jake, on the other hand, told her exactly how he felt. He said she had destroyed his trust, his respect, and their marriage. The divorce moved fast. Jake had control over most of their money, and because of their prenup, Emily walked away with very little. She had been dependent on the lifestyle they shared, and now she was left struggling. I did not celebrate her downfall, but I could not ignore that she was facing the results of her own choices. She lost her marriage, her friends, and her reputation. Within months, she moved out of town, perhaps hoping people would forget. As for my husband and me, we are stronger than ever. This could have broken us, but instead, it proved that our relationship was built on honesty and trust. We still talk about it sometimes, but not often. We have learned the lesson, and we are moving forward. Emily was not always a villain. She was once someone I loved like family. But over time, she chose a path that led to her losing everything. In the end, Emily did not just lose a husband. She lost her friends, her reputation, and the trust of almost everyone who once believed in her. She had played a dangerous game, thinking she could cross boundaries without ever facing real consequences. But the truth always finds its way out. I did not have to shout at her, fight with her, or create a scene. I simply let the facts speak for themselves. She chose her actions, and those actions spoke louder than any excuse she could ever give. Looking back, I realized that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay silent, watch, and let people show you who they really are. Once you know the truth, you can decide your next step without regret. My husband and I came out of this stronger, more united, and more certain than ever that loyalty and trust are worth protecting at all costs. And as for Emily, she walked away from everything she once had, not because of anything I did, but because of what she did to herself. Like and subscribe for more true stories.